Hello, everybody. This is Elizabeth Clare Brewington, and I am delighted to kick off today the first of our Brightside Speaker Club channel and the Brightside Book Club channel. So every Thursday each month, we'll do this once a month. We'll bring authors and speakers because we're kicking off our speaker bureau. Where we will place speakers for speaking opportunities and our book author club for recommending book clubs to start conversations with these wonderful books. And here I have today in the studio, in the BW studios, I have Janice Kephart. And Janice is got so many talents. If I was to read her bio, it would be very, very long. But let me give you a few highlights about her. She is the great granddaughter of Horace Kephart. So for those historians and academics who know Horace Kephart, he is extremely famous because he wrote a lot of books. One of the books that many of you might know about is the survival guide that is still used by the Boy Scouts, and the famous Kephart knife that most hikers use to this day. And Janice has taken the time to record and narrate his story in an audio book as well as a beautiful ebook. I've also done an interview with Janice, and I will share that link with you if you want to go in depth to getting to know her and watch the interview segment, which I thought came out really well. But today she's done a little audio presentation for us, and she's going to take us back to the Smoky Mountain Cherokees. Now, North Carolinians, Tar Heel, everyone knows a lot of history because it has a lot of history in North Carolina. So we are hoping to do a lot, especially with our new offices in Chapel Hill, with a lot of the history buffs with Janice, and have her give us this wonderful lecture on the Smoky Mountain Cherokees. But more important, the legacy and history of her great grandfather, Horace Kephart. Without further ado, I have two people that have a somewhat, as we would say, a little dash of Cherokee in them. And one of them is my husband, Elton, and Ernestine Wooten. And so we'll begin with a little conversation, and then we'll lead into her presentation. So let me get there. So welcome. Hello, Janice Kephart, and I would like to introduce you to the Queen of Goldsboro, the historian of Goldsboro, the custodian of information, Ernestine Wooten. And Ernestine, tell us about your little journey with the Native Americans. And I have actually met them, and I've had great dances and performances with them at the Arts Council. And I think they're having an event on Saturday that I'm looking forward to meeting them again. So over to you.
Well, I enjoy talking about the Cherokee Indian Reservation. With my work, I work for the state of North Carolina, and one of my programs was on the Cherokee Indian Reservation. They were very receptive to the program, and what I enjoyed about being on the reservation was because everyone was reaching out in some way to learn more about not only the reservation, but the United States. Their schools were excellent. And really, they even had on the reservation a large school for teaching driving education instantly. Now, the other schools in North Carolina use the highways for teaching private education. But on the Cherokee Indian Reservation, they had an excellent, I mean, when I say excellent, building. And that's where the young people on the reservation learned to drive.
Really?
So they also, ladies and gentlemen, had their own swimming pool that
Oh,
the schools off the reservation did not have. So there was a lot to learn, and of course they had fishing.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and they ate fresh from I'm trying to think of the name of the restaurant, but in that restaurant every day your fish had just been caught, and they served them, cleaned and served them to you out of the river.
Okay. Awesome.
Let it finish. Awesome.
And I can go on and on and on.
No, that's all right. I love the fishing part of it. Yeah.
People who are very creative.
Yes.
And if you wanted something from the reservation, you could actually beat the person that made it.
Oh, wow. Really? That's awesome.
Okay.
So
That's special.
Tell how you got to be a Cherokee. Tell how you got to be a Cherokee.
Yeah, tell us how you got to be a Cherokee.
Well, one day I was getting ready to leave, and the director said to me, would you please come by my office before you leave today? And of course I said yes. And when I got in, she had this beautiful necklace made out of river rock.
Wow.
And she said, if you take this, you will be a Cherokee Indian. Of course I took it. And I didn't really know what I was saying yes to, because after that time, I could shop in the tribal house.
Wow.
After that time, I was to be sold nothing that had not been handmade on the reservation. And I can go on and on.
No, that's okay. Wow. That is an incredible story. What an incredible journey.
Even though you can go up there for observation, there are places they do not take you on the reservation if you're not a Cherokee Indian. So I'm going to stop there.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you for that, Ms. Wooten. I really appreciate your comments, and we're looking forward to Janice telling us a little bit more about her experiences. And and I commend you and quite frankly, I'll come back after Janice.
I think she will tell you this, that once a year, all of the tribes in America go to Cherokee.
Okay. All right.
We need to go there
Okay.
this year for
All right.
sure.
Sounds great.
I'm excited. I'm excited to go there this year. So great. Okay.
Janice, glad to have you here. And I know your book is going to be quite exciting. And we want to hear from you about your book and your great grandfather and the Kephart knife, if you know, what that all means. So, and your experiences and how that's led you to be the person you are today. Okay.
Over to you, Janice.
First of all, I'm really happy to be here. It's a huge privilege to meet you, Ernestine, and hear your story. I actually was wondering if I could have asked Ernestine a couple questions, because I am on this journey as well of learning about the Cherokee culture, along with the history, and it helps me to have interactions with those who work with the Cherokee people. So I was wondering if I could ask Ernestine a couple of questions.
and
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, I can't see her. That's why I had.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let me stop sharing and let me just get the two of you on. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I was wondering what that was your cat.
It is my cat. There's a storm brewing outside and he's being a little bit pugnacious
Now
at the
you-
moment.
Now you can
Yeah.
go ahead. Ask the question.
Ernestine, so I'm captivated by your story. And I'm curious, when you spoke of the schools, because I'm going to be speaking of Cherokee literacy in my presentation and the Cherokee language. And I'm curious whether the Cherokees in their schools teach Cherokee, teach the language and the Cherokee alphabet and the writing, or if they do not, and if it's all of that has been marginalized at this point.
They did teach it.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. I'm glad to hear it. I will be curious to learn at what point. I'm sure the Cherokee written language continued, but when their newspaper was destroyed during removal and all their equipment that they had built for the presses, I'm very curious as to whether they picked up again on the Cherokee Phoenix, which was their newspaper, when their written word came back so that their written word became about them and they could carry on their stories, etc. And I don't know if you know anything about that piece of it, because it's a missing link for me.
I'm not sure about all of that they were able to preserve, but they had one restaurant that carried all information, historical information about the Cherokee Indian Reservation. And you could purchase that in that restaurant.
Okay. When you speak of the Cherokee Reservation, you're speaking of Qualla Boundary, right? Where the Tuckasegee and Oconaluftee rivers are, that area on the southeastern portion of the Smoky southwest side, North Carolina. Is that the area you're speaking of?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. I just to make sure we're on the same page, because I'll be speaking about that as well. So that will be a little bit interesting to do so. Claire, Elizabeth, where would you like, you're mute right now. Where would you like me to take this at this point?
I'm going to stop
about 10
recording.
minutes early.
Elton wants to tell you about his Cherokee journey.
well,
so let me add him to the
Okay.
No, well, actually, it's a real story. About a month ago, I saw my call ID. There was somebody called. My last name is Brewington, and so somebody called me by the name of Brewington. So hey, like any red-blooded American, I wanted to say, okay, whose name is Brewington that I don't know? Who's on my caller ID? So I called him back. And the lady was saying she was so caught by it. She had her father call me, because I told her my last name is Brewington. I'm in Goldsboro, and your name is unfamiliar to me. Tell me where you're from and your background. And so she had her father call, and her father called, whose last name was not Brewington. I don't know how it was. But he went through the physical description of all of that. It turns out he was full-blooded Cherokee. Full-blooded Cherokee from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And so I said, wow, and so my first impression was to make sure that I invited them to someplace that we could talk and chat and fellowship and that kind of thing to explore. So, and it led me to really, be just enormously, intrigued by it. And so, I mean, and what does that all mean? And I don't know, I mean, and I think America is in a better place, I think, to capture the real cultivations and the culminations of what Native America meant and the culture as it stands today. And so, we could, there's some, and as I'm understanding, going back 10,000 years, 10 to 12,000 years, in a lifestyle, because, Cherokee back then would have 4 or 5 camping grounds. It's kind of equivalent to you having 4 or 5 houses now. You winter in Florida in this, in the winter, you winter in Florida, you summer and spring in New York, and then you go overseas or something like that. I don't know. But they had a camping grounds all over America. And they went to in the I don't know, it was the spring when the buffalo ran, and it was, and it's but what I'm trying to make sure of is that the variations about the culture and how they were able to solve problems, and the deviations in their touch and connections to the past.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were, generations, the year of the rising moon 4 times or something. I don't know, but I'm enormously intrigued by it. And so I'm excited to have Janice with us today, and she's going to share with us. Oh, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask me, Julie?
Me? At the moment,
Let's
no.
start again. Maybe you'll come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have to think a little more. The ones that came up were the ones that came up when she started speaking of the school.
Okay.
And so the language and the written language that the Cherokees had, which they were the only Native American tribe that developed their own written language. They were
Before you
also
get
the only
started,
one that
before you get started, this is an important thing that we do before you start. What was the initiative earlier on? Hey, we're gonna be happy.
That's good.
We're gonna be happy, and we're gonna evolve. This is an evolution moment. This is a moment that we get power and strength and confidence and a sense of well-being. So remember, we're balancing this thing, and I just need you to feel it. Feel it. This is a moment of power and strength and purpose. And purpose. So no questions offline. Feel like you belong, and you do. And we're so glad that you're here. So Janice, come on, open the door. Tell us.
So thank you for watching this segment. We were having a conversation about how exciting a Cherokee is when they meet another Cherokee and another connection, and they get more information. And I've also noticed this personally firsthand in Goldsboro, because everybody gets so excited and going back to their roots and connecting and talking about grandfather stories. And I think Ernestine and Nancy had just come out of their family reunion. And so one of the wonderful things about having family is all these little touch points. On that note, tell us about your experience in the comments. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, or anywhere that you're watching our channel on YouTube, write us a comment, tell us what you think, and we'll make sure that you have a link to get the audiobook. And by the way, Audible is offering a free trial, so you can actually get Janice's book and listen to it. And so we'll make sure you have that link. And yes, it's for free. I tried it, I got it, and you can get it too. Thank you for watching Brightside Global Trade TV. And now introducing our speaker channel as well as our book club channel.